Joseph Kotrie-Monson is Director of Monson Solicitors on Fleet Street, criminal defence lawyer specialising in areas such as this. How much confidence do you have in the law in this area? Good morning.
Well, the cases I'm involved in, I don't take anything for granted, and I certainly don't assume. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
That when it comes to miscarriages of justice, I should take Alison Saunders' word for it. The reality is that social media scours, looking at social media, publicly available social media, is something that a good criminal defence lawyer in this country simply cannot rely on the disclosure processes of the police and the prosecution to do. They are in la-la land if they assume that there aren't miscarriages of justice as a result of this stuff not being disclosed. We have to do it ourselves. Nick, thank God that material with this younger generation, they often post it publicly on Facebook, so lawyers like us can get hold of it and get the truth out and cross-examine them on it to an immediate change of mind in the jury who might have convicted, at which point it's a unanimous verdict once the jury go out, usually within a few minutes.
Do you think in this instance then, when Alison Saunders says what Alison Saunders says, she's saying out of naivety or out of hope?
I think that she's protecting the position of the CPS. I don't think she's either naive or hopeful. I think she knows exactly what's going on, and I don't think she cares about whether there is room for improvement or not. I think when a prosecutor is saying statements like that, there's no justification for it, and I think she's far too clever a woman, far too experienced a woman. She's not one of these CPS ex-barristers who's been brought in as the DPP. She is a life member of the CPS. She's been in that organisation decades. She knows exactly how it works. She knows the failings. And for her to say something like that, any experienced lawyer in this area, Nick, will tell you that what she has said about the risk of miscarriages of justice, well, let's be generous and say it's naive.
Anna Soubry, a Conservative MP, says or fears Ms Saunders could be part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think with statements like that, it's a very difficult suggestion.
So what needs to be done, lastly, Joseph?
I think you shouldn't have the police and the CPS overseeing what is disclosed to the defence. In every area of law around the world and every other discipline of law, it's an independent person who manages disclosure. Disclosure, of course, is what one side is forced to give to the other, or the evidence or the investigation evidence that is disclosed to the defence in criminal cases. The idea that in an adversarial system where it's the defence on one side and the CPS on the other, it's the CPS who are their own gatekeepers. Well, that can't be right, because there are all types of temptations. We're fighting against each other in this sort of justice game to win a trial, but at the same time we're relying in all that enthusiasm and in all that heat of battle for them to behave in a proper way. And when they have all the other stresses of resources and everything else, the morality can slip. And you can start saying, oh, well, there are no problems. If there were no problems, we wouldn't have all these scandals, would we, Nick?
Good point on which to finish. Thank you. Enjoy your weekend. Joseph Kotrie-Monson is Director of Monson Solicitors Firm on Fleet Street, a criminal defence lawyer specialising in the field of sexual offences.